32 people on here so far, and I think we'll have a couple more coming in as we get closer to 6 o'clock and perhaps a little bit further. So Shay's also going to be posting that mural link throughout, because I know you don't have a lot of history being shown in the chat. So we are recording it, as you would have just found out. So if you are concerned about having yourself shown, then you can turn off the video. But I would encourage everyone to keep the video on, because it really does create a good sense of community. When we can see the other person, we can look them in the eye. I think it really helps to make these meetings a lot more interactive, especially with the format that we've got here, is that the session is really, really interactive. We've also started a YouTube channel on the Brisbane Agile Meetup, where we're putting all of the previous recordings that we've made and making it available through that. So it allows them to have a little bit of longevity beyond just the one day that we have. Today's recording might not, possibly it would be used for that, but depending on how much of the information we get, because a lot of what we're going to be doing today is in breakout rooms. So depending on whether that information is captured in the recording, we'll do an evaluation on the recording. The other thing is, this is a joint meeting between the Brisbane Agile Meetup group and the Psychology of Agile group. So if we could do press by show of hands or by that thumbs up or clap icons, could we have a show of hands of people that belong to the, or came through the Psychology of Agile group? So we can see. Okay, so we've got one. So we've got Carl and Chris and Belinda. Excellent. And Kate as well. So welcome, guys. We've had a look at this and realized that Agile is quite a broad topic, and we don't want the community to become too splintered. So we are looking to wrap the Psychology of Agile group into the Brisbane Agile Meetup, so that we can post all of the events, Psychology of Agile and otherwise, in the one place, so you can choose which ones you want to go to, especially for those topics that are halfway between. We spoke a bit earlier, so a lot of you wouldn't have seen the discussion around the return to physical meetings. So with the second wave passing, we were thinking that it might be a good time to create a blended meeting situation where we have a physical meetup, but at the same time have an online presence that people can join via Zoom, or they can come to the physical location. The physical locations are great because you can have pizza and you can have beer and you can really have some good discussions, which is building that community is a lot easier physically than it is when you go onto Zoom. I'd like to thank Elaborate as the sponsor for tonight's event. And specifically, I'd like to thank Tony as well for presenting to us today, and Elaborate for providing the Zoom facility, and also to the facilitators, Arthur, Rob, Dave, and also for Shay doing a lot of the administrative activities. Alistair Coburn, who really started the Heart of Agile movement, he said he'd like to have been here, but it's 3:45 a.m. on the West Coast. So it might be a little bit tricky for him to be here, but he said that we are in excellent hands with our speaker tonight, Tony.
Have we got any Scottish folk here to make Alistair, or be Alistair in absentia? Or anyone wearing a kilt?
Or drinking its port, yeah.
Yeah.
Want someone to do an Alistair impression? So Tony certainly doesn't need any introduction to this group. Tony's a founding member along with Craig Smith, and also I think Chris, you've been very much involved with the formation and development of this. So it's really great that you guys are here as well. And Tony's obviously a master facilitator and agilist. So we really are lucky to have Tony facilitate this event for us today. In March, we provided an introduction to the Heart of Agile. And today, Tony's going to facilitate a deep dive into the collaboration imperative. So we're also hoping to cover the other imperatives in the coming months. So keep looking at the notifications that are coming through so that you can see when we'll start looking at perhaps deliver, if that's the next one we're going to do. And if I can ask you to please use your clap icon or the click icon to give a really warm welcome to Tony. Over to you, Tony.
Thanks, John. So, yeah, no pressure from that wrap anyway, but that's great. All right. So tonight I'm just going to talk a little bit about Collaborate for those that weren't here in the earlier session, and maybe it's something new for the people who were in the sessions. And then what we're going to do, we're actually going to break you out into breakout rooms. And I'll talk to you about how that's going to happen as well. But essentially, it's going to be you working through some things. And as we said, we've got some facilitators working with us tonight so that we can do this in remoteness because this is fairly new. So we'll see how that goes. So, of course, we've got John, Arthur, Rob and Dave, and Shay will be moving you in and out and doing the movement. So when I ask him to move you into your breakout rooms, you will get a pop-up and you need to accept that pop-up so it shifts you into the breakout rooms. And then hopefully, if everything's worked perfectly in the Star Trek mode, as I call it, you'll be there with your facilitators who will be able to facilitate, and then I'll be popping into the rooms backwards and forwards. So having said that, I'm going to try the share thing. And I'm assuming that everyone can see that. If you just give me a thumbs up, let me know it's working okay. Beautiful. All right. So the heart of Agile, you know, it came about, as you said, Alistair Cockburn, and because Agile has become over-decorated, over-commoditized, over-socialized, he wanted to peel it back to what it should have been, right? So we have a lot of different things. You have scaling methods, you have this method, you have that method, but the reality of it is he's bringing it back to actually what Agile was actually meant to be when those 17 gentlemen got together, right? And so it's 4 very clear imperatives. So we use it to understand and create agility by narrowing in on those 4 key imperatives. And there's no jargon, there's no frameworks associated with it. These are the clear imperatives that actually tell you how. So the manifesto was great at the what, but essentially this is telling you the how. And if you collaborate better, then you'll deliver better. If you reflect better, then you'll improve better. If you reflect better, then you'll deliver and collaborate better. You can see how that works, and you can use it in any context or any term. I have been doing this for quite some time now. I've used it with schools. I've used it with teachers. I've used it not long ago. Much to my surprise, I did it with some scientists who were breeding mosquitoes. And they actually were able to take those concepts and use them. So it's a real focusing tool that provides you with those anchors to get that agility, whether it be organizational or it be, you know, small, or whatever that be that you're being. And it's really agnostic to the work that you do. You can use those terms. And as I said, they're actually verbs. So be very clear about that. They're actually verbs and they're constructed in that way so they tell you the how. Collaborate, go and collaborate. Deliver, go and deliver, right? So that's why we use them in that way. And when used in that way, they really do amplify your organizational effectiveness and what you do. You'll also notice in this stylized version that there's some stuff in the center of it. And that's been done on purpose as well. And the reasoning around that is that we want to push the human piece of it. There's a piece that people always ask me, what's in the center? What's the heart, right? And my answer is there's a couple of things to the heart of Agile in the heart. The first one is that it's actually the people. So that's that learning and that dialogue and that openness. That's the humanity or the humans in the mix, and that's the people. The second thing for me is information flow, and we'll talk about that today, because when you collaborate properly, you create information flow, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we go. And the other one is the ability to inspect and adapt, which creates that ability for you then to actually adapt to what you need to do to deliver. So I'll just move on. Just give me a moment. And what we're going to do a little collaboration deep dive before we get into the exercises. And we'll just talk through this a little bit. So what I've done is for this evening, and some of you may have seen this before, but I like to take the collaborate, and I like to give you some context around what that means when we say collaborate, right? So we're talking about it in terms of any organizational, any team, any personal construct. When you're working in that, what you're trying to do is create collaborative connective tissues that allow your information flow to flow horizontally and vertically within your organization. The reality of agility is agility's stock and trade is information flow. It's that information that allows you to make directional decisions. It allows you to make those directional decisions to inspect and adapt your delivery. So when you do that, when you look at your collaborative connective tissues, if any of you are sitting there, I ask this question every time I do this thing, is how many restructures have you been through in your organizations? How many times have your teams been pulled apart and put back together? How many times have you seen the disconnection of what happens vertically versus horizontally for your teams, right? It's a rhetorical question because I can't see all of you, but I'm sure you're all thinking about that. And every time you do that, you break the collaborative connective tissues and the ability for information to flow horizontally and vertically. So what we want to think about is, how can we affect that? How can we change that? We want to know and think about how we can create those collaborative connective tissues. And why? Because once we do that, it creates that culture of transparency. And that's what information flow is, right? Radical transparency. It gives you the ability to understand the circumstances, the dependencies, the risks, the issues, whatever that may be, even the, the cultural things about, whether teams are well or people are well or not. It allows that culture of transparency and that information to flow across and up the organization, which is essentially what that means is it allows you to, as leaders or as humans or as people or team members, to make those interventions and make changes. And when you're in organizations that have actually become into remoteness, this is where this folds into it now, is we're actually got a situation where we have silos that are, and now become chasms because of the remote capability. So this is an even more important imperative now, is that we really want to have that culture of transparency. And ultimately, when you do that, it creates trust. And whilst we're not delving into deliver, the next piece of the puzzle there that we'll delve into when we go into deliver is information flow. And when we do create those collaborative connective tissues, and we have that culture of transparency and we create trust, then the information flows, the information that allows you to make those interventions, that allows you to actually get across those silos that have become chasms and start to make those interventions, whatever they may be, inspect and adapt, right? So that's the deep dive, I suppose, if you like, into the collaboration for today. But what we're going to do is actually, we're going to get you to dive in deeper. And I'm going to give you some premise around that and some exercise for you to dive into it and think about it more clearly, because it's easy for me to sit here and say it to you, but that's part of the deep dive that we promised that we would do at the last Heart of Agile Meetup is that with each of these imperatives, we'll have a small dig into it, and then we'll give some exercise and get you to dig into it a bit deeper. Now we're going to be using Mural and Mural board, and our facilitators are going to be helping you with that, and hopefully it all goes well. We'll see what happens. So I'm just going to run you through how we're going to do that. So the first step that we're going to do this evening is we're going to do, what does good collaboration look like, right? Because the interesting thing is everybody tells me, asks myself, I've heard Alistair say, everybody asks me, well, how do I collaborate better? Well, you actually know how to collaborate better. What you haven't done is thought about how you might do that collaboration better, right? So what we want to do is think about that in the first terms of today. And to do that, we're actually going to set some frame around it. So there'll be a board, and some of you I can see are flicking around in the side there, right? You'll have seen the boards already. And as you hit the rooms, you'll either be in team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, and you'll all have your own boards. And you'll see a big target there set in quadrants. And those quadrants are actually set around team, customer, me, and organization. And what I'm asking you to do while you're in that, and the facilitators will help you with that as well, is to actually come up with your top 3 things that you can do to improve collaboration within your working circumstances for each of these quadrants. Sounds easy, but when you stop to think about it, that may not be so easy. And remember, you can do something here, right? So at the end of the day, we're going to actually, when we're finished, this will get packaged up into a PDF, and you will all get a copy of it so that you can take back what you've actually created as well. In terms of that, what I want to do is sharpen that frame for you as well. So I want to give you some things to frame your thoughts around as well, whilst we do that deep dig. Yeah. So when you're thinking about it in terms of those 4 quadrants, it's also thinking about, okay, these might help you actually, as enablers or blockers, but think about time. You know, so how do we collaborate better with the time that we have? How do we use that time better for our collaborative things that we are doing? So we all know about meetings and Zoom, and you know about the term called bored out, right? So the new term is not burned out, you're bored out because you're bored out by the amount of Zoom meetings that you're in. Can we collaborate better? Can we be sharper? Tooling. Have we got the right tools to do our collaboration, right? Ways of working. Does our way of working support that? Does our organizational design? You may not be able to affect that, but you actually can look at that and go, okay, how may I collaborate better in that organizational design? Customer interactions. That's a pretty no-brainer, but a lot of organizations that I work with, when we do this exercise, and I have done this exercise with a number of big organizations, when we've done this exercise, that customer interactions one is that surprises the most is because when they actually focus on that quadrant and go, oh, we actually aren't doing those things with our customers. And remember, for you, customer can be internal. If you're an internal team or you're a small startup team or whatever that may be, you may not be servicing an external customer. You may be servicing an internal customer, just as important. It's that pure focus on customer, right? That obsessive customer interaction. The other one that I'm very passionate about, and I always include this, is psychological safety. So when we were doing a dry run of this the other day, the guys asked me, well, what do you mean by the psychological safety? And for me, psychological safety is very important when we're doing, especially in remoteness, which we're all in right now, right? But even so, when we're in big rooms or we're doing our regular day work, is psychological safety is important when we're collaborating. If we have a collaborating event, whatever that be, is making sure that everybody is in a safe space, everybody has an opportunity to talk, or everybody is being treated in the right moment, you know, those types of things. So it's thinking about that in your collaboration as well. So when you think about it, has something happened to you? You know, I was doing this with someone a little while ago, and they came out with a surprising array of tickets on that one because they just seen something in what they were doing. So that's step one.
Sorry, Tony, before you move to step two, I've got a couple of reports on the Zoom chat that some people are not able to get into the mural board.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if we can maybe have a show of hands or something to see if that's a general thing or just affecting one or two people. So it looks like most people are saying that they can get in. Can we say anybody who's not able to get in, can you raise your hand perhaps?
I found that Microsoft Edge didn't work, and then I jumped over to Chrome, and that was fine.
Ah, Microsoft Explorer always has a problem.
Opera is fine.
Okay.
I've also found that Safari is really extraordinarily slow, so Chrome seems to be the go.
Or Edge Chromium also works fine. The new Edge.
Use Brave. That's Chrome with lots of security suppressions.
Also, yeah.
Okay.
So I'll hand back to Tony.
So we make it a browser war. Cool.
What I would also say is when we get into the rooms, if you still cannot access it, let the facilitators know. And what we've done in previous times is you'll just chat with the facilitator and they'll put your ticket up for you. That's one way of getting around it, as long as we don't have too many, obviously. But it doesn't seem that we do. We all right to go?
Yep.
Excellent. Hopefully that helps everyone. All right. So once we've done that, we'll then move into the second part of it. And this will all be done in the rooms, right? Is how might you improve collaboration? So what we're going to do, you've taken all that time to actually think about the things that are either good or bad, right? I don't mind either way, but then we want to look at how you might improve them. And so we're looking for you in that particular session, the facilitators who will help you with the board, is to look at the things that you've actually put in those quadrants and come up with how you might improve. What I really want to impress upon you is don't just focus if you've got bad ones, don't just focus on that because everybody does that. It's easy to think about how you improve that. If you've got ones that you've said are good, right? I really want you to think in there, how do I improve good? Because good is the enemy of great. So it's how do I sustain that? How do I take that to the next level? Or if I've seen someone that's doing it, that's good, how can I improve that and take that from me? So hopefully that makes sense as you walk through it. The third part of the session, as you walk through, oh, I'll get this moving. Okay, something happened there. The third part of the session is actually looking at the cost of collaboration, right? And so what people don't think about when they do this, when they do these exercises, is someone is going to ask you in your organization, or you're going to ask yourself, or if you're in a small organization or you're doing it personally, what's the cost of making that improvement to create collaboration, right? Or what's the cost of not? So we're going to ask you to look at both of those, and there'll be a little quadrant there, and the team will help you actually put those into the quadrant and help you prioritize that. Why is that important? Well, if you're actually in an organization, that changes the conversation when you actually are able to say, well, yeah, it's going to cost that, but when you think about it in this frame, it's going to cost us even more because we're not doing that collaboration. And hopefully that will see us through. At the end of that, we'll all come back to the main room and there'll be a showcase of what each of the rooms have done. I'll be popping in and out of the rooms. Is there any questions before we roll on? And I can't see that obviously, John, but I'll be stop sharing in a second. Cool. All right. I hope I've stopped sharing there. Excellent. Are there any questions? Do we have any problems? Everybody solved their mural, or they've got a solution for mural if they get in a room and they can't?
It looks like the mural issues have been resolved. Beautiful.
All right, now we're going to be really sharp on it. So I just want to re-impress that upon you, because I'm going to move you now. We've given a few minutes for you to find your way. The team will explain how you create post-it notes in there. It's a really simple process, and how you type it. Top three, and you're going to get 10 minutes in each quadrant as we go. So, you know, when you look at that, that's about 30 minutes. And I figure by 30 minutes time, you're all going to be sick of being in the breakout room and you'll be ready to come back. So hopefully that helps. And then I'll be popping in and out of the rooms as we go. So Shay, I'm hoping that you now can do your major part of the thing. And it's what I call the Star Trek exercise, where you will fade out and reappear somewhere else. And hopefully you're all in one piece.
You should have all received the invite.
All right, we've got 3 or so. Dave, what's Dave doing? Have you made me co?
Yes.
So I can bounce between rooms, yeah?
Yep. Dave's gone over.
Right, good. All good. We've still got Thomas and Richard.
Richard, did you get the invite? You're on mute, my friend.
I can't see the rooms. Sure.
Down the bottom, there should be a thing, breakout rooms.
I'm not, it's not showing up. For some reason. No. Can't say I've had that happen before. But hopefully the team's going okay.
They appear to be going flat tack on putting stuff on, so.
Yeah, that looks good. Timer. We need a timer, my friend. So
sorry, I'm just admitting someone had assigning them to a room.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've given them a few minutes anyway to get going and show people how to do stuff. So, but if you can hit the timer for a 10-minute timer, that would be good. And then we're going to figure out where I can't move between rooms.
So you don't have the breakout rooms thing right down the bottom in the ribbon?
No. I know what it's like, because Sarah and I normally do this, right?
Well, just ping me and I can assign you to a room and you can just jump in.
Yeah. Well, why don't you just assign me to a room now?
All right, I'll assign you to room 1.
And give it a couple of minutes and then zap me out. bring me back to the lobby in 2. Oh, hang on, stop. I can see breakout rooms all of a sudden. That was the trigger.
You had to be assigned.
All right, here we go. I'm going in. If I'm not back in 2 minutes, I'm stuck. And then Thomas is still trying to connect, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he seems to be having issues with his audio. You're on mute, Tony.
It does that when you come back to the main room. It immediately throws you all into mute, by the way. That's good. I checked on that room. That room's going good. Dave's going. I never thought he. See, I have to join Dave's room and then I can join other breakout rooms. That's weird, eh? Anyway, all right, I'll do that. I just thought I'd come back and let you know I'm okay. I can move. Have you set the timer yet?
7:25. 7 minutes, 25 seconds. 20 seconds.
So that's just them that's just for them basically getting everybody ready to go, right?
Yep.
Yep. All right, and then we'll have to set another 10. You can do broadcasts, can't you?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I think I can't do that, but you can. So if you can broadcast a message when there's 7:25 and says you should be starting number 1.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Looks like they're already doing it. If you look, they're putting stuff onto step 1.
Okay. I'll have a look.
I've got my lovely big widescreen monitor, so I can actually see the entire mural.
Good on you.
I can see them I can't read anything, but I can see all the little bits and pieces going on.
Brilliant. All right. Cool.
Unmute. I didn't need to hear that one.
I didn't actually say it out loud, so but you can read my lips. No, they seem to be going well. They were practicing a lot of them, so.
Okay.
Ooh, there's Abhishek. He's come back. I think he must have dropped out, didn't he? Pick a room, any room.
Abhishek, do you remember which room you were in?
You're muted, Abhishek. We can't hear you. Everything's working brilliantly at the moment. Everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. It's good. I'm very happy. So I'll go join the rooms. I'll leave you. How much time have we got before they need to move on?
Well, we gave them 10 minutes for tools. They're still playing with the tools, so I think we can just go ahead and say, hey, look,
well,
time's up for familiarization. You should be into step 1.
Yeah, so I said 6:25, step 1 till 6:35. So most of them are already doing it. When I was in the rooms, they're already doing it. So about 6:35 is when we should be yelling out saying you need to move to step 2.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Hey guys, I've actually just switched from my mobile to my laptop. I think I was in probably room 1 with Dave earlier. Not sure if we can get back there.
Perfect. I'll move you to there.
Awesome, thank you.
There you go. You should have the option now.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, I shall rock and roll. That's funny. So it won't let me choose the breakout rooms, but I have to pop back into the next one. So there we go. And if you're recording this, which you are, hi. Bye.
You have the invite, Abhishek?
I'm just trying to, I'm actually seeing a very small Zoom. Okay, now I've got it expanded. Would it be in the chat, the invite?
It should have popped up on your screen.
Okay, I think I see something. Yep, perfect, I've got it. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Hey, mate, I think Kate's going to be bouncing into the lobby, and you just need to bounce her
Just
into
admitting it now.
and need to push her into Arthur's room. She was connected by phone and then jumped into laptop.
So group 2.
Yeah, group 2. Hello, Kate. Goodbye, Kate.
Okay, you should have an invite to rejoin group 2.
Thank you.
That was smooth. And they're all just about ready to jump into. So
Step 2.
Yeah, step 2. If you can just send a message, I'll just.
Send.
I'm back.
Oh no!
Oh no. Running a little bit behind in one room, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it.
Room 1.
Oh yeah, how'd you know?
I can see the whole lot.
You're too good. Can you actually message Dave?
No, not unless I was in that room.
That's good. All right. That's all right. I've allowed a little bit of extra time because I know every room moves at different pace, right? But it's just trying to get them to the well at the same time.
So it'll be cramped a bit, but
yeah,
that's what I see.
Oh, that's very cool. Actually, that just stop right there. That's brilliant.
I'll take some screenshots of it for you later.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, my lovely new 34-inch widescreen.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'd suggest with this recording, we're going to have to slice a little bit out of it because yours and mine drawing back, it's going to bore people to death. But
yeah, we'll cut that out once I upload the file.
Good.
Because I think I set it to record locally. I just was trying to do it quickly. Didn't realize it had a cloud option until after I'd clicked. But it's okay. I can upload it to you or onto the Google Drive and you can deal with it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Brilliant. All right. Just
let's see if I can get a really nice view of most of those rooms.
So I can run for 2 seconds. There we go. All right, we're going to go and jump into some rooms. So we're probably, where are we? 6:35, 6:45. They should be getting into step 3. So we're
Send
running
a message in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go join some rooms and see how they go. So they're all running a little bit behind. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to tell them all that we're going to call them back at 7.
7, so additional 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll broadcast that.
Yeah, which I knew. We built fat into this, right? Because we knew we might be running a bit late with people jumping in and out and whatever, which is cool. And I'll just let them know physically. Sometimes they don't see the message. So, all right, back shortly.
Okay.
Perfect. There we go, mate. All right.
Yeah, doing okay.
Cool, cool. Thank you so much for this. This has made it so easy.
That's okay.
Just being able to jump in and out. It's great.
I am the tools guy.
The tools guy, man. So if I can get you in this next section to present the board, can you do that? when they come
I
back?
can.
Yeah.
Although it might be easier to get each of the facilitators to present the board so they can move through it rather than telling me where to move.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, well, let's do it that way. I wasn't really sure. I hadn't thought that bit through.
That's what you got me for.
Cool. I've told them all they got 5. So it's right on the dot of 7. If you just send the message, that'll be great. Who's Phil? Who do we got there?
No idea. They've just joined.
Oh, the timing is terrible.
I had a guess who it might be.
This Heart of Agile. What can you tell me about Heart of Agile? It just sounds really exciting. Hey, you're finished, aren't you?
Comes with a free set of cufflinks.
Brilliant. We're just in the final phase, mate.
Oh, okay. Let me interrupt. I've got a meeting in a minute, so I thought I'd just pop in and say hello.
There you go. Good. Good to have you, buddy.
Oh, so you actually finished or are you still going?
We're still going, but they're all in breakout rooms at the moment, my friend.
Oh, have you set it up like that? That's amazing.
Yeah. So breakout rooms, and
yeah.
If you have a look at this board,
I'm on my phone. I can't see a lot.
Well, I'll just send you. You can copy the link at least, and you can have a look at it later on anyway. But there you go. But basically, we're using mural boards to do. So you know the collaboration handbook, obviously. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's muted himself, probably.
Yeah.
Tap to speak. Is that better?
That's better.
This thing is mental. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yep, we can hear you.
I've never really used Zoom on my phone before. It's interesting.
No swearing. We're recording, by the way.
And your point is?
That's all right. We can edit it out later.
Or turn it into a meme on Facebook.
Oh, I like that. Well, I can turn it in. At least for the RAF team, it would be awesome. Yeah, they're due to come back in a minute or two and play back, Phil. So basically what we've done mural-wise is it's basically, you know, what's good. Oh, there he is. Woohoo! I like it. Yeah, so basically 3 steps. We've gone, you know, what does good collaboration or bad collaboration look like? How might you improve? It's the next step. And then what's the cost of not and improving?
Is this the Craig Brown 8 Steps to Collaboration, or is it the Ponton cut down version?
I've taken some of his and some of mine. But it does say on the board, it does say on the board, inspired by Craig Brown's collaboration handbook. I've attributed.
Okay.
He knew.
Okay.
Remember yeah, well, I did. I told him I was going to do that too. We were talking about it.
All right.
Right. I want to send that message out just to tell them to start winding up.
I sent them a 1-minute warning.
She's awesome. So I've got Dave Price in one room. I've got John Stefakakis in one room, Arthur Poropat, and
Rob Lumens.
Rob Lumens in the other one.
When did Zoom get rooms?
Oh, it's had rooms for ages.
You have to have a paid Zoom account.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. All right, there you go.
I don't think it's as it's not as good as Facilitator.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm using the Elaborate account here, so because you can. We didn't know how many people we were going to get. We got quite a few, so.
Should I pull them back?
Yeah, you can get 150.
Yeah, I've got to go, Ponton. I've got a meeting with Hong Kong. It's been a pleasure. I may talk to you later tonight. Sounds good. See you, Shay.
See you, Phil.
Later tonight. Yeah.
Keep doing that. Excellent. Perfect. That's a meme that I can use.
Okay, you ready for me to call them back?
I think that's time to call. Well, send him a message just to say I'm going to call you back. So then wrap it up. All right, we're not too bad. I thought we might be roughly around that far behind, because we said the meetup would finish a bit later in the actual meetup invite. So.
And they should be coming back now.
Now.
So, no, it gives them a 60-second countdown.
Yeah, I knew that. It's what you call the Star Trek moment. You know what happens is I'm usually talking or presenting in a room, and it does that in the middle of it. Did I catch anybody in mid-sentence? Did we get anyone in mid-sentence? You're all muted, by the way. So you'll have to, it just automatically does that. By the way, a Zoom trick for everybody. If you're on mute and you just press your space bar, it will unmute it so you can talk.
While the space bar is down.
While the space bar is down, yeah. And then when you let it off, you're not.
And for those with the Apple and a touch bar, there is also a tool that helps you to facilitate that.
Just let me know when they're all back, Shay, because you can see the rooms.
Oh. And it's just closed them all. So they should all be forced back now.
All right, so while you're all back, room 1. You've got 5 minutes, nice and sharp. I'd like you to run through that. Dave, can you present that for us, please? You should be able to as co-host.
I sure can, yeah. Nick's going to talk us through, so I'll just share my screen. Just give me a couple of seconds.
And I'm going to be sharp on you for the 5 minutes because I know we're getting to the time when everybody's getting tired and they need to go home. So, and I could be standing between people. And
yeah, we all want to get to the drinks.
I was going to say that, but anyway. All right.
I've already got mine. What's going on?
All right.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen. So Nick,
can you make it a bit bigger?
Mm-hmm.
Like zoom in on the.
Yep, I can.
Down there. Yep, there you go. Brilliant. All right. Who's that? Nick, is it?
All right. We had quite a lot of good ideas from each of us coming in. And in the end, we sort of had a conversation of, whether our ideas were good or great, in that there was lots of good individual ideas that we shared. And a lot of them had a lot of relations, or there was interaction, or certain points or stickies. We could have sort of grouped them together. But just the key ones on the first step 1, we had under team, timely feedback, participative but structured, giving everyone the opportunity to contribute, detailing what the team thinks and needs to get done, having conversations on like the tools like Slack rather than around the water cooler. So that is to do with transparency as well. Around the customer, making the process very clear, using the customer's language and not imposing on the customer. And around the organization, an element of self-organizing balanced with transparency, promoting and not blaming, self-organizing. And then around the self, there was creating an environment of safe to try. I think a goal, vision around the organization. I think we could just scroll down, Dave, to the second one.
So I think, yeah, because the second things went into the third, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe we just swap on to the third one. A lot of our things clustered in the do now, with some of them because of their cost and time to implement, going into the do next. Struggling in between the do now and do next was change the reward system. And top ones in the do now was listen to understand, listen more, make the culture of reflecting, totally natural thing. And you see that a lot of those in the do now, just analyzing them, you see that they were all a lot about how people interact and communicate with each other. And in the do next, bring other involved teams into the journey, spending time to reflect, and creating a language that both understand. We had nothing in the do letter and the don't do.
Brilliant.
That's about us. I don't know if Dave can chip in with anything else left out there.
That was a great summary. Thanks, Nick.
Excellent. All right. So that moves us to team 2, which is Arthur.
Cool. And I got roped into it, but I made sure everyone promised that they would step in if I started misrepresenting or confusing things. So I expect to hear other voices occasionally. With respect to, we started with looking at customers, customer access to real-time dashboard, co-designing, actively seeking feedback, bringing customers on site. There were a bunch of useful ideas about how we just improve conversations and connections with customers. With the organisation, there were things to do with rewards, but a lot of it was to do with coming to a point where people felt like there was a free flow of information and a shared understanding of what they were doing together. So in particular, building a charter together for the organisation. With respect to me...
Sorry, are you going to share a screen for this, or are we...
Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought the screen was already shared. So, okay, well, I shall do that.
Sorry, yeah, I couldn't see that either.
Well, just tell us which. Just tell us which group you are, and we can all just go to the screen.
It's fine. There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for stepping in on me.
No problem.
Okay.
Arthur, if you see the little X to the side of the word outline, if you close that, it'll give you a bit more space on your screen so you can zoom in. So far right, that's the one.
Okay, cool. And when it comes to the person themselves, a lot of it was to do with improving communication, but also about being kind to oneself and self-managing people so that they would feel safe, they would get their own needs met. With respect to teams, it was about things like trust, speaking openly, share what is a problem, and respecting different people. Scrolling down, broad range of different types of suggestions, things like a real-time dashboard, which is one of the ones that got onto the next slide as well, making sure that collaboration's built into all meetings, a lot of work, a lot of ideas to do with improving communication between people, both people making sure that they're expressing themselves effectively, but taking the time to reflect on others and listen more. A lot of, both in the discussion, but also in terms of the comments, you'll see things like supporting people who haven't been heard or calling them out, listening to other people, making sure people have felt that they've been treated fairly. There were a couple of other little things like, let's have boards instead of PowerPoints rather, which I think most of us can agree with that their PowerPoint gets a little bit overused. There was some very heartfelt comments made about that. Scrolling down a bit further, whoops, sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, sorry. I was trying to scroll up a bit. The easy to do ones were mostly about improving communication. So getting standard processes for communicating with people, equal representation, conversations, etc. The next to do things were more things that are important, but do take some time to make sure that they're working well. From partly technological, making sure that customers have secure access to real-time reporting systems. That can be difficult. I was assured that can actually be quite difficult to do in organisations where they have to maintain their own security. But there are also things like improving personal communication or systems from improving psychological safety or systems for improving fairness. But you would think that these are straightforward, but it does take time to embed that within an organisation. Some of the things not to do were wait for collaboration to fix itself, or seek the perfect tool. So we all agreed, let's not do those ones. That's probably a fair summary of where we got to within our discussions. Anybody wants to add on to that? I see Carl putting thumbs up. Anybody else from our group want to comment? Cool.
Brilliant.
Let's move on.
Get John to take over, that'd be great.
Okay.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm not going to share my screen because I'm just cognizant of the time. I think we're running over, and I just want to run through really quickly so that we can finish as close to the time that we've got as possible. Ours were very similar to a lot of the themes that were mentioned before, and really focused on two key things. The one is the areas around mindset change, saying if we change the way that people see things, so getting them to have psychological safety, for example. One of the points that really resonated, I felt, was that people are often very scared to share, and the traditional ways of working can really debilitate people when they go through the review and approvals process, because it can expose people. That there should be no stupid ideas. Being present is something that was quite important, and also for it not to be exhausting, which is the whole resilience theme was something that came through a lot, being authentic and transparent. And then also looking at the tool side, so saying that you need the appropriate tools to be able to support that. On step 2, we were looking at some specific things that one could do. So for example, having working agreements to go through that, engaging the hearts and minds through potentially creating social contracts, and making sure that that's at the kickoff as well as through the whole thing. Co-locating with clients was an important action. And then also to get people to understand and to address emotions that they've got, and having team building tools that can really support that. And generally being open and transparent. So those were the key things. So one other item in step 3 was looking at the review of collaborative efforts. So to establish that baseline was important, and really having knowledge sharing. And then also one last item on that was looking at the cost of staff morale as a negative, and that would apply to collaboration in general. If you don't do it properly, then the cost can have indirect impacts through staff morale. So
we also talked a bit about mental health, and the idea to have lots of socializing outside of the team. So a lot of it was about building culture as well.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
So anyone else in our team that are there any items that I missed that are important to raise? Cool. Okay, so back to Tony.
I think one of the best ones was someone just put up the classic engage brain before opening mouth.
Yes.
If you're talking about communication, that is so important.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. All right, we'll move on to Rob so we can get through and get you all home. Rob?
So I didn't have any volunteer to speak for the team. I had volunteers to critique my presentation, so I'm sure somebody will keep me honest.
We call that voluntold, Rob.
Yeah. So there's a very strong cluster around communication and communicating clearly, communicating well. That relates to a bunch of stuff that was around goals and understanding expectations and clearly communicating expectations, and also about alignment. And there was also a really important one about empathy and respect. So that's the bulk of it. There was, bits and pieces on things like psychological safety and common understanding of ways of work and things like that. One of the interesting things in the me section was controlling your emotions and blocking out time. So in step 2, there was a bunch of stuff that came up with about empowerment and decision-making and independent decision-making and trusting people, actually talking to customers, internal and external. There was more around communication and goals and building relationships, And also similar to one of the other teams is checking on mental health and the team's health. Engage brain before opening mouth.
Sorry, I got my groups mixed up before. My commentary was actually on 4, not 3.
Right. Regular socializing, trying to keep the water cooler chats alive and the informality. And, more about the empowering teams by allowing them to self-organize. And I love this one, clear and concise goals, long-winded goals are anathema. And moving on to step 3, someone copied down the engage brain before opening mouth into do now. Keep communicating, build relationships, reinforce goals, talking to the customer, managing psychological and mental health, keep product and team learnings accessible, and an emphasis on safe spaces and actions. The only thing that we had in do next was standardized tooling. Do later, we had reevaluate previous choices, which I like because it's, going and re-examining some of the stuff we've already done. And I couldn't help myself. I dropped in surveillance software into don't do.
Very good, Rob. Brilliant. All right. So that was a fairly whistle-stop get through. And I wish we'd have had a lot more time. And when we do that as with organisations, we obviously take a bit more time. So there's a couple of things I just want to let you know about that, right? So firstly, obviously, as I said, we'll PDF that up and you can we'll get that out to you. Probably will be Monday. I'm away tomorrow, but I'll make sure that you get it. Okay, so that's my undertaking. My reasoning for giving that to you is you just spend a whole lot of time doing that. Don't just leave it on the ground. Actually use it. Because you spend a lot of time actually investing in that, actually take that away and do something with it. The second thing with it is I've actually given you that tool. You can run that with your teams. You can run that in your organization exactly how I just ran it. So you can take that away and you can spend a little bit more time. Obviously, you wouldn't be as hard. I would say time box it, maybe not to 10 minutes, but give it a little bit more time. But you can make sure you time box. And the reason we put that constraint around it is because when you put that time box on it, people actually have to think. If you let it just drag, you'll be there till tomorrow, right? So that's important. Obviously, that would lead into deliver and essentially, hopefully, deliver we'll get to do sometime before Christmas, maybe, John. I'll work it out with John, but we'd like to do to deliver. And when we move into deliver, what we do then is we think about what you've done in collaboration. Hopefully you'll all come back, but those that haven't, they'll still be able to do it. And we want to start thinking about delivery in terms of directional decisions, information flow that allows you to make those directional decisions. And most importantly, something to change your mind so you can take that away with you to think about today is all of your directional decisions. Think about how many you made since you got out of bed this morning and how many directional decisions you made at work. Everything you do is a directional decision, and each of those ends up being inventory. How many of those decisions do you put in the backlog? How many of those decisions do you prioritize? So we'll actually be running an exercise on how you actually think about directional decisions as inventory, which is a different way of thinking about that. So hopefully that piques your interest to come back and you weren't bored by tonight, hopefully. I think the only thing left for me to tell you about is a couple of things that are with the Heart of Agile. If you're interested in learning more and going deeper with the Heart of Agile, there's the Heart of Agile Academy now. So there are Heart of Agile courses. There is a Heart of Agile course that they're looking to run in Australia. So if you're going to have a look at that Heart of Agile, you could do the Heart of Agile course. And that's actually being run with Alistair Coburn and Solly, and I'll be attending that as well. So Solly is the head of Heart of Agile for Europe. I have to get that right. And Alistair is obviously just the head of Heart of Agile, as we know. The other thing I wanted to make you aware of is that we do have Heart of Agile breakfasts or chats. Kate, if you could just make yourself known for a moment, just speak up so everybody can see you appear on the screen there. So Kate runs that. So if you see that, please join us. We often get the guys, the Heart of Agile guides from across the world to pop in as well. So that would be a good experience. I'm happy to answer.
Tony, just to add in, we decided to actually having the Heart of Agile coffee corner in the morning time. Normally we started from 8 to 9 before everyone's joining, and we try to choose the date. The previous one was held on Wednesday. So it was Wednesday morning. It was actually time friendly for Aliester to actually join us from US. So I would definitely update everybody once we have another one. So if anyone would love to join, we would love to have you guys on board.
Fantastic. Can I just make one quick comment? I'm Eric from Group 4. We actually found in step 1 that we had a whole lot of things that went across all quadrants. So what I'd probably recommend with this going forward is you just take the icons and put them outside and actually put a square in the middle. So you can put things that you agree apply across all quadrants as your core communication items. Because we tried to do it and all we ended up doing was covering the other icons.
Oh, lovely. All right. That's nice feedback. Always happy to have that in terms of it. And you know, given when we do this in a physical workshop, you can shape. So I thank you all for allowing us to do it in a digital form, because we've not done that before. So that's a learning experience for us as well. So hopefully it wasn't too painful. Somebody had their hand up before they had a question. Was it?
There was Wei Yin, I think.
Oh yeah, Wei Yin.
Yeah, that's me, Tony. I just have a question. You mentioned directional decision making or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, actually?
So so without spending a lot of time on it, when you think about it, everything that you do is a directional decision, especially if you're actually a leader or you're working or whatever you're doing, you make a directional decision. You decide to move in a direction. And the whole thing about agility is, remember, what's the whole thing about agility is making decisions and being able to sharp steering, right? Steer. Because in a VUCA environment, we can't have long tail. We cannot have these big long tail decision plans. We can't have this long tail waiting for us to reach a program marker. And especially now, I don't think I need to preach to anybody what happens when COVID comes along. It shortens our timeframes even more. So directional decisions is thinking about what those decisions are that you decide you're going to do something. Whatever that direction. We use directional decisions because it could be software. It could be, it could be machinery. It could be just making a cup of coffee, whatever that be, but it's thinking about that.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Hope that's a short whistle-stop explanation, by the way. Any other questions? Otherwise, I realise I'm standing behind or standing in the way of people having their dinner, or those who wish to drink, whatever that may be.
Yes, I got a question, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this process, and I mean also that you're experimenting with it online for the first time. I'm more of a manual, sticky person. And just one question is, taking this process forward and implementing it, what processes can you suggest in the spirit of collaboration and working together, such that after putting all these great ideas that have come up in the post-its there, how can we synthesize them into just a handful that, all participants can relate to going forward? Because I think that this process opened up, and there's that need to narrow it to a handful that people can then share and maybe make some solid decisions for moving forward in the organization.
So step 3 is really meant to help you do that. Yeah. So if you're taking step 3 and you're looking at that quadrant, is really thinking about, okay, what are those decisions that are most important to us, and grouping those and thinking about how you're going to move with those. And then you've got the do next, do later. Because if you try to do them all at one go, and that's part of that synthesization. And I know we only had 10 minutes today, but if you had a bit more time, that's the mechanism to do it.
Perhaps, Tony, what we can do is we should open for a broader discussion, perhaps after closing.
Sure.
I think some people might want to stay on a little bit more for a further discussion, but I'm cognizant that we have exceeded everyone's time commitment that they'd provided us. So if, perhaps what I can do is close in the meantime.
Brilliant.
So,
I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for having me.
No, well, it's the group that you founded. So grateful for you getting this group and growing it to the level that it is. So thank you. And also for a fantastic evening tonight. I think that for me, what I really enjoyed about it is the fact that it started with something that was a lot of people talk about, but taking it to the action level, I think was a really valuable approach that I haven't seen done to this extent with Collaborate before. So that's really great. So perhaps just a tiny little bit of just letting you guys know what's coming up is we've got the Lean Coffee coming up on the 9th of October at 8 a.m. So please have a look at the Brisbane Agile site. The Lean Coffee is something that is a fantastic thing to go to, where you go and have a discussion with like-minded people and discuss topics that you choose at the meeting. So for anyone that's been to the Lean Coffees, it's a process that really works well. And I think, Dave, you're running that, aren't you?
Yep. So that's happening soon. But yeah, usually good fun discussions.
Yeah, so if you can, definitely go to that one.
And I would say, John, just jumping in quickly before I forget, is if the group here could give a virtual clap to your facilitators and to Shay, because, you know, without this wouldn't have worked. I can stand here and talk about it, but they actually did the hard work. So, along with all of you, of course. So, claps for yourselves.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
I'm happy to hang around for a few minutes if anybody wants to chat.
Yeah, so let's let everyone who wants to go and have their dinner go forth, and we'll keep the line open for a while for anyone that wants to stay and chat. And thank you again, and looking forward to seeing you at the next one. Have a look out for the exciting topic that we'll be presenting next.
Thank you, guys. It was awesome. Thank you.